serial killer, murderer. These are terms that we often attribute to adults with a lust or compulsion to take the life of another. Less often, but considerably more shocking, is when children are the ones responsible for such heinous crimes. In this video, I will present to you two such cases that are both shocking and very disturbing. Two cases of murderous children. James Fairweather was a troubled youth born to the parents of James and Anita Fairweather on the 5th of August, 1998. Described as a sensitive and well-behaved child, little is known about the early life of James Fairweather, but it is understood that at a young age he began to attend Colchester Academy, where he described being endlessly bullied and ridiculed by his fellow schoolmates. Years of abuse and ridicule took its toll on the young boy, and on the 29th of March, 2014, he was strolling through Colchester Park in Essex when he came across a 33-year-old James Atfield, father of 5, drunk and nearly passed out. The lack of witnesses makes it hard to piece together those final moments between the two, but what we do know is that after approaching the man, 15-year-old James Fairweather began to stab 33-year-old James Atfield until his life was taken. He was stabbed a total of 102 times before James was satisfied. 3 months later, on June 17, 2014, 31-year-old Nahid Almeria was caught and stabbed to death along the Salary Brook walking trail in Colchester in broad daylight. Having been stabbed in both eyes, with both eyes removed for an unknown reason. In January of 2014, James Fairweather was arrested and convicted for robbing a local store at knife point. He would later be arrested a second time after being spotted by a dog walker loitering in front of a local store wearing rubber gloves and holding a large knife. 1 year after his final arrest, in January, James Fairweather denied the 2 murder charges and instead pleaded guilty to 2 counts of manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility, claiming he suffered from psychosis and heard voices telling him to kill, burn the babies, and maim the prostitutes. The judge ignored his plea, and he was found guilty on the 22nd of April, 2016, and later sentenced to life in prison with a minimum sentence of 25 years on April 29th, 2016. Jesse Pomeroy, born on the 29th of November, 1859, is often described as a natural-born fiend, and is remembered today as one of the first serial killers in American history. Born the second son of Thomas J. Pomeroy and Ruth Ann Snowman, Jesse grew up in a fairly rough neighborhood in Charlestown, Massachusetts. Although not much is known about his early childhood until he reached the age of 11, Jesse was afflicted by a few abnormalities, most noticeably his milky white eye and a hair lip, which possibly led to severe bullying by other children. From 1871 to 1872, police began receiving reports of children being lured to hidden and remote areas before being beaten, tortured, and sodomized by a boy that they described as slightly older than them. At first, he would only beat the boys using his fists, but gradually elevated to poking and slashing them with a knife. Due to his standout appearance, Jesse was quickly identified after he and his family moved to Boston sometime around 1872. After being apprehended, he was found guilty of his crimes and sentenced to the State Reform School for Boys at Westboro, Massachusetts, until his 21st birthday. Due to good behavior, Jesse Pomeroy was paroled only 1 year and a half later in February of 1874. 1 month later, in March, a 10-year-old girl named Katie Curran went missing in South Boston, and the following month, the mutilated and nearly decapitated body of 4-year-old Horace Mullen was found near Dorchester Bay. The remains of Katie Curran were discovered sometime later, badly beaten, mutilated, and buried hastily in the basement of Jesse's mother's dress shop. Immediately after the discovery of 4-year-old Horace, and possessing no physical evidence, police detectives suspected and sought out young Pomeroy. When found by police, Jesse was in possession of a bloody knife, and when asked if he was the one who killed young Horace Mullen, Pomeroy calmly replied, "I suppose I did." And when officially questioned, he admitted to the murders of 27 other victims. Upon inspection of Pomeroy's mother's former dress shop, police dug up the remains of 12 other victims. Jesse Harding Pomeroy was found guilty of murder in 1874, and in 1875 was sentenced to death by hanging, although this was later commuted to life imprisonment in 1917. He died at the Bridgewater State Hospital in Bridgewater, Massachusetts on September 29, 1932.